Hey everybody, Garcia here. Today we're going to be putting our efforts together trying to save the local species in Tori. In this game, we are going to be working together in order to take care of the local species on our island and keep the invasive species in check. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be flipping over, ultimately, hopefully, flipping over our village tile to become more conscientious, and then flipping over a factory tile that's on the board that is hurting the local flora. Once we do that, we win. If we lose any of the native species and they become extinct, then we lose. Also, if we time out in the game, we will lose. So, like I said, cooperative, each player doing something bad at the beginning of the round, and then taking 4 actions in order to do something good. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So here we've got the game set up for 3 players playing yellow, red, and blue there with their characters starting here in the village. We've got the industry here and then many trees and species, both native and invasive, all over that map. And then over here, the actions board, in which this will allow us to unlock new abilities as we move up our marker up on these paths here, making our way up that ladder there, that track. So what are we trying to do? How do we win the game? Well, we have to achieve 2 things to win the game. The first one is we need to eliminate all of the invasive bushes, which are these here with the red ring around them, and all of the invasive cats. And the cats are, there's one that begins on the board in a random place, and it's this one right there. If we eliminate all of those on the board, then we can flip over the village tile to the other side, and that's half of what we're trying to accomplish, okay? The other thing we're trying to do is flip over the industry here. And the way we do that is by having someone make it all the way up to one of these symbols, either one of these, an environmental report is what that means, and then having at least 4 of the little Tori birds here on the board. If we achieve both of these, we win the game. How do we lose the game? If we time out, we lose the game by having this little deck here that is made up of these cards. Every time it gets reshuffled, it's not actually shuffled, just flipped over again. This moves. And then if we time out, we'll lose. And also if any one of the native species is extinct, then we lose. So what are we doing on our turn? Well, on the back of these, you're going to have a little breakdown of some player aid things. But generally, this is how it works. Let's say it's the yellow player's turn here. You take both dice, you roll them. You're going to activate the red one first, followed by the blue one. So the red one says C, so we're going to activate C, which is location 12. These locations have been randomly selected with this little token here. And location 12 is this one up here. We're going to activate everything in there in order. And the order is on your player aid here. It starts with the invasive bushes, cats, the little guinea pig guys, foxes, and the little birds. So this little fella is the only thing in there he's going to activate, and we have to feed them, okay? So I'll go through what they each do. The invasive bush is going to turn over a tree into an invasive bush. So it takes over the tree, basically invades it and takes it over and does that to it. The animals are all going to attempt to feed, okay? And they have here a listed order of preference as to what they'd like to eat. So this little guy, his first preference is a bush. After that, it is the shrubbery itself, the invasive bush. So the tree, we first check in his area if there is one. And in fact, there should be one because every area begins with one. I guess I forgot one in the setup. There we go. So if there is one where he is going to eat it. We put it underneath him, like so. And then we check if they breed. Now, these little guys have a single dot here at the top. So every time they eat just one, they will breed. You'll remove the tree, and we breed into his space there. Like so. And that's it for that turn. That's card C. Now, the other ones are well, let's see what the other one is here. 6 is right there. Okay, we can do that one. That one, the tree will do nothing. It does not activate. And then the little Tori birds, they go for the trees as well. He'll take that one over. But he takes 2 to reproduce, so we leave that alone. We just leave that one token below him. Once he takes one again, then he will reproduce. Now, what happens if, when we go to feed him again and he activates again, there isn't a tree where he is? Well, then he checks adjacent orthogonal places, and he goes up in numbers. So he checks area 1 first, then area 2, then area 8 up here. And if there is what he's looking for in there, he'll move to it and claim it. And he'll take anything below him with him, like so. And now that there are 2 tokens below him, he will reproduce. Also, when you attempt to reproduce, if it's already filled, let's say this was already there, and he now needs to reproduce. Again, if he cannot go in there, then he goes to the neighboring place that's the lowest number that has room, and that's where you'll put the token. That's true for all of these. Now, the foxes are a native species, but they do eat the other native species. They'll target these little fellas first, and then the birds after that. So if I was activating this space here, there is none of his food in that space. We check adjacency. This is 3, this is 11, so he'll go here first if there's food, and there is. And now that he's in it, he will check, he'll have his targeting order. He'd rather eat these guys than the birds, so that's what he goes for. And once he has 3, he will reproduce. That's generally how that works. So once you've done that, and you've activated both of these, we will remove them. So we'll take that out, and we'll take that out. We'll set them in the discard pile. We'll bring out 2 new ones, like so. And then the player gets 4 actions. The things you can do in your turn are, you have these 3 built-in abilities. You can move orthogonally. You can go up on this track. So it's the yellow player's turn right now, so it'll be them. You can go up on the track, or you can plant a tree where you are. So as the yellow player, I might go 1, I might go 2, and then perhaps 3, 4. Go to there. And now I have these abilities, and any I've already passed. That includes this one over here already, and now this new ability. There's no player A that has all of these symbols, unfortunately, but they are in the rule book here. You can find them in the rule book. Sort of spread out a little bit, but you'll see some of the abilities. But generally, they do things like allowing you to move a species where you are. You can move one to a neighboring place that is the lowest number. Once you have this one, you can choose where to move them. That's hence the question marks. You have to be there, and you move them to a neighboring place of your choice that has room for them. With the bicycle, you can move orthogonally. With this bike, or I think the motorcycle, you can move twice orthogonally or diagonally. So diagonally here. With this one, you can move someone else. With this, you can eliminate a tree or a shrubbery. You can activate an animal where you are. You can eliminate up to 3 things, trees, where you are. You can eliminate the cats, which are going to be a problem. They go for the local species, and they never go hungry, which I'll talk about in 1 second. And so you're trying to just unlock abilities so that you can do more on the board. So that's it for yellow. Now it would be the next player's turn. They roll, they activate these cards here, and then they'll take their 4 actions. Now when an animal goes hungry because they cannot eat, there's nothing where they are, nothing in neighboring places, then they lose 1 food and migrate. If they have no food underneath them, meaning it's just the token itself, then they die off. And again, if you lose all of 1 native species, you lose the game, okay? The cat, however, never goes hungry. And so the cat, even if it cannot eat something where he is, activating this one here means number 1 happens first. We flip this over to become a shrubbery. And then the cat would eat. There's nothing where he is. There's nothing in the adjacent space. The locals always feed the cat. So he just migrates even without collecting anything. So he will not starve off. You need to deal with the cats yourself by removing them from the board here so that their population is under control. You are, neutering and spaying. So that's what's going on in the game. Like I said, trying to achieve these 2 things. As these tiles cycle here, you're going to have some that are a number. They activate that section, everything in it. But you've also got some that are going to activate specific species. All the foxes, for example. Numerically, you go through all the spaces and activate every fox. You've got that for all the different species. And then also you've got this one, which is the village, which is going to put out a new cat until it's dealt with. And then the factory, which, again, until it's dealt with, is going to get rid of trees around itself, even orthogonally. So, from waste. So, there you go. That's what's going on in the game. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what's happening. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. That is Tori Endangered Species. So what do I think of it? Oh, I think it's a lovely game. I think it's got a wonderful concept and ideas. But I find the gameplay to be, to feel a little bit like a first edition, which of course it is. I think there are some things that could be refined. And I find the gameplay to generally be extremely tactical and not allow for too much long-term planning. That's kind of how it felt anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to start with the theme. I think it's excellent. The idea of conservation, taking us to this island that is dealing with some local problems. The idea of the animals, that's all beautiful. So I really like what's going on in the game. I like that the cast of characters is very interesting and diverse. I like what's going on. I like the setting here. The aesthetics are also lovely. Good quality components, very small, but they work well. They do not need to be bigger than this. I like the quality of the cards, both the small cards and these. Very nice linen finished paper. The tokens are wonderful. Everything looks good and functions very well. My only issue would be a player aid with the tokens that are on the action board. There are, some aid is on these cards. Another one that describes all of those things without flipping through several pages would have helped. The replay value, I think, is okay. Again, like I said, I find the game to be very tactical. You are fairly early trying to just race up that track that gives you access to abilities you're going to need desperately. And so the beginning of the game tends to feel a little samey as you are simply trying to just make sure you don't lose very quickly, which could happen. And just move up on those tracks. Try to have access to the stuff you need so that as fires crop up, you can put them out. You can, put the animals you need in the places you need so as things go off, you can survive and achieve what you need to do. So I think it's, again, okay. The game arc is a little unpredictable. The game can end very suddenly. I've had games go, 12 minutes because we realized that because a chain will trigger that has a fox I was not counting on. I'm watching out for this cat, and there's a fox I wasn't counting on, gets triggered, jumps on a bird, and that's the last one, and we're out of luck, right? So I guess what I mean to say is many cooperative games put you on that razor's edge. In this one, though, sometimes it's a little hard to see where that razor's edge is. It's not always, as you read the map and the way everybody would activate, it's not always very, very apparent when you are close to one of those endgame scenarios. And if things happen to come up a certain way, then you've got it, it happens, right? In fact, you could have the last bird you're protecting or whatever will jump over into a space here and jump on a tree, and then the fox over here or the cat activates, and now this is close enough where it can jump on it. That's game end. So it has this reactionary sort of feel to it that is sometimes unpredictable. Now, mechanically, it's very neat. I think this has really cool ideas that I love the way they play out. I like the way the map works, the way the locations interact, the way the animals behave, and the invasive shrubs, the way we move around and can do different things, protect different species, move them here or there. It's like this sort of interesting puzzle, but with a decent amount of sort of input randomness with how things trigger. Ease of play. It's pretty good. I do wish, again, that the player aid, there was a player aid that had all the symbols on the board, because while they are pretty well made, giving us a little something else to reference would have benefited the experience. Right now, what we've got on this little card here is the order in which the creatures activate, which is not that important, seeing as to how they all have a number on them. And then that they look for food in their sector, and then the chart of what they eat and in what order, what they prefer. Preference 1, preference 2. That's important. Definitely need that. But all these symbols of what means what, yeah, some are obvious. The bicycle has the crossed arrows. I got it. I can move diagonally. Some of the other ones, like a little animal symbol with red burst around it, I always need to look that one up. I never remember what that one means. So little things like that would have helped. Lastly, tactics, luck, strategy. The game has some of that luck, like I said, but it is, besides that, what the players are doing, to me, feels extremely tactical. It's very, very tactical. It's this idea of you're always looking at what is going to end us right now, hoping you see that, right? Can get there and deal with it. And then anytime you've got an extra action or 2 or 3, running up the track so that you can unlock abilities. That works well. I like that idea. And again, this is a cooperative game that does feel different from a lot of other cooperative games. I just find it to be very, very tactical. And I think a little more planning, something in it that would allow me to change my fate a little bit, would make the game a bit stronger. As it is, the game is very quick and short, so maybe it's not needed, and it's just the kind of game it is, and that's fine. For me, I just sometimes feel like I'm at the whims of what's going on, and I need to do something, or we will likely lose if the dice also don't go my way. So there you go. Overall, I enjoy it. I think it's a lovely package. I would love to see a second edition, though, that includes some fortifications of a couple of different things. You know, maybe some abilities for the players that we begin with that makes us distinct from one another. That might be nice. Some player aids. That might be nice. You know, something to add a little more spice to the entire thing and maybe allow the players to feel different and have the ability to put a longer term plan into place earlier in the game. All right? But having said all that, I still recommend this one if you are a big fan of co-op games or you want a game about conservation. This is lovely. You know, they did a very nice job. I hope that this game spawns off sequels or spin-offs. I hope that there's a second edition of it. I hope it gets wider distribution. Very pretty. Lovely, like I said. So this is going to get a 6.5 out of 10 from me. Perhaps it is something that really speaks to you, and if so, don't hesitate to pick this one up. That is Tori, Endangered Species. Thanks everybody for checking this out with me. My name is Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.